Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Tonight, or today, it's a special episode. It's an episode that I recorded a few months back with a guy called Roy Selstrom. Now, the audio on it is pretty poor. It's a lot better than it was. It was very bad, and I wasn't going to publish it. But it's a story that I think should be told. Roy served with the Pioneer Corp and was dicked basically for the burial parties for the first Gulf War. And he tells us what it was like growing up, what it was like deploying, and more importantly, how he was treated when he got back with the mental health issues. It's a bit of a story, it's a long one, it's in 3 parts. It took about 4 hours to record, so bear with this one. This is the first part. I hope you enjoy it. If you like this podcast or the previous ones, please consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Frankie'sPod. It just goes to help fund the software and the hosting. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm talking to Roy Selstrom. Is that how I say it? It's an unusual name, though. I'm glad I got it right. Roy served with the Pioneer Corp, and today he's going to tell us about his experiences of Op Granby in the first Gulf War. I'm pretty sure these are going to be quite interesting for some people. Hey, Roy, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
Cool. So it's the same 4 questions that I normally ask everyone. So it's just like, give us a little bit where you grew up, why you joined the army, your experiences while serving, and then what happened when you left. You know, what it was like then, and how you've dealt with life afterwards. So if you just want to tell us where you grew up and why you joined the army, please.
I grew up back in the 1960s. It was pretty rough, to be honest. I was the youngest of 10 kids.
Wow.
Family had money, like a lot of families. Moved around a bit. I was born in Middleton originally, and the family moved back into Colliers, which was a pretty rough area for people who knew Manchester then. And then from Colliers, when they knocked Colliers down, we moved to Longside in right at the back of Bellevue amusement park, which as a young teenager was fascinating. They still had the zoo there then. So every Sunday we would sneak back into the zoo and fight the hyenas, throw stones at the elephant, just do what young boys shouldn't do, but do. And there was no security guards, there was nothing. I mean, this is back in the 1970s, mid-70s. And it was great. I can remember a hyena bit my brother's t-shirt. We had to fight the hyena to get him off it. And I bet there's not many people who fought a hyena.
I've never met anyone.
But yeah, I got in trouble. I got in trouble with the law. And even now at 60, it still bites me on the arse because I got done for theft. I stole 2 bottles of milk, which sounds amusing now, but then it was theft contrary to whatever act. And I wanted to go in the army. I just knew a passion in me deep inside that I wanted to join the army. And because of these 2 bottles of milk, it stopped me getting in the army at 15 and a half. I wanted to go in. I probably couldn't have made junior leaders, but I definitely probably would have been a junior soldier. Problem is then in the 1970s that the army didn't need thieves, and I totally agreed with them. But it sounds worse than what it is because it was 2 bottles of milk. My dad paid the fine, but that stayed on up until, believe it or not, last year. Because Lancashire Constabulary still had. They still gave the full, on your DBS when it comes back, still gave theft, contrary to Common Law Act, blah de blah. No one ever asked me what it's for. Oh, it's 2 bottles of milk. You know what I mean? But when you're an adult and you're still being punished back in your 50s and 60s because you wanted to help out a school where your kids work, or you want to help the army cadet, and they're still saying, well, you got a bit of a dodgy past. And I thought, oh yeah, all right then. But so that stopped me getting in as a junior soldier. I then had to wait till I was 17 and a half, like most guys. and I was just bumming around dread. I didn't realise I was dyslexic, and I know it's just a word that's thrown around now. But in school, when I was a kid, you know, sitting in the classroom feeling like a dunce because the teacher was asking me to write four, and you couldn't write four. You know what I mean? And I struggled all my life with spelling when I was in the army. But you know, as a young kid at the school system in the 1970s, trying to understand what they were after just was blank for me. And I didn't realise until I left the army, I took the dyslexia test, and I wanted to do a college course. And the woman said, anyone think you're going to have a problem with the assessment? And I thought, that there, that, you know what, all these fucking years, I think I really want to know what's wrong with me. And I put my hand up and said, yeah, let's have a chat at the end of the class. And we had a chat. And she said, look, come back next week. I'll put you on the dyslexia test. And it come back at the end of it. You do it for about 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours. And come back about a week later, 2 weeks later. She said, you've got mild to severe dyslexia. And I thought, woohoo, did me fucking, you know what I mean? Didn't a problem in the army, I mean, because everything's abbreviated. But fucking hell, all my life, people are asking me, you know, when people are asking to write journey instructions and stuff like that. So I'm probably one of the guys who thought was over the moon when computers come out and driving speak and stuff like that. So I could just speak, and I know people run over that to me, but I could speak and it would type it out for me. Because otherwise, we sat there asking people, I'd spell 5, I was spell this, I would spell that. And I look in my mind's eye, and I'm like, oh, my fucking symptoms, this is fucking out there, other than there at the time. Whereas now, I mean, I'm a bit better with it, I think. And so, yeah, I got through the skill systems, got through it, being the work, started working at, I got chucked out when I was 15 and a half, finally expelled for fighting, which wasn't unusual for someone who was dyslexic. Now I'd probably send, you know, special educational needs, you know, all that, but then you were just fucking some thick little fucker. I finally got kicked out and started working in a bakery, and then, you know, I progressed to putting the jam in the donut. I mean, I fucking put the donut on, squeeze it, you know what I mean? Started bumming around bakeries for a while, till I got to about 17 and a half, and my eldest brother had been in the artillery. He'd been in the field regiment. One of my other brothers, because I've got 7 brothers, one of my other brothers had been in the Kings. And I thought, you know what, I might join. And my eldest brother turned around and said, before you do that for the regulars, you might not like it. Why don't you try the tier? And I thought, yeah, all right, what's that? And he says, it's just part-time, but if you like that, you'll love the regular. And I thought, yeah, all right. And so in 1982, when the fort was kicked off, I'm turning 17 and a half, 17. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. You know, do my perfect duty. I wrote fuck Argentina on Stockport Road in a building. I thought I wrote fuck Argentina. And I think everyone else driving down Stockport Road thought who the fucking hell wrote that? Or is that how you spell Argentina? But anyway, they painted it off, big fuck off building. It was on Flue Bench in Longsight. And anyway, so I joined up the ETA, and I got in because one of my older brothers was in it. And it was great. Oh, it's fantastic. I really enjoyed myself. Now it's a reserve. Yeah. Then it was a PA, Saturday and Sunday boys. Did 3 years with him, and then I took a S-type to the 1st Battalion of the Kings. Went in their mortar platoon, and I'd probably only been there. They were out in Northern Ireland, the 1st Battalion at the time. I think they were out in Belfast or London there. And I'd been with them on reparty duties for probably about a month, and I just knew I wanted to do it. I think that's what finally made me make that decision to win the regular army. Because I had a girlfriend at the time, you know, I had family, and when I made that decision to go for it, because I was on an S-type and you're still a territorial soldier, you then have to sign off from the territorial army. So I went back to 58 Kings, which is at Ivett Green in Manchester. You have to sign off, and then you go back down to Fountain Street, which is the recruitment station. Went back in there and re-signed on. I had a couple of references in my back pocket, because I really don't. I think I would have struggled to get in and pass the bar test at the
Yeah.
time because of bits of spelling and that. Because when you're dyslexic or severely, marked as severely, trying to do tests and assessments, you see it differently. And it's only when I'm older and I've worked with younger kids that you realise they're processing information differently. So even the bad test, which was really easy for a lot of people, people like myself would slightly
Yeah.
struggle. Uh, anyway, I went in there with the references, got through, and the officer wrote on the form, and I've still got it now because I applied for my record years ago. And on the edge of margin, he's got this guy, what is it? Not really it. This guy's an imbecile. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh, if I would have known that then. So when I applied for my record years later, I've got imbecile there. But anyway, I went in. I said I'd wanted to go to One Kings because they had the references, William King's regiment. And then when I got down, I got to Scotty Coalfield. I then changed my mind and thought, you know what, I think I'm better than that. And nothing against the Kings. I mean, that was my adopted unit, and I loved my time working with the Kings. But I just thought I want to do something different. And when I joined and I passed the bar test, the three what you could have is Royal Artillery, Infantry, and Pioneer Corp. And in 1985, the Pioneers had just closed their depot down and moved to the Queen's Depot. So they now were training as infantrymen with the Queen's Regiment, the Royal Anglian Regiment, and the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. So we ended up at their depot in late 85, and I just signed up. Thought I'd go to the Pioneers, but the officer, when I took my attestation, he turned around and said, "Are you a fucking idiot, then?" And I went, "No, I don't think I am." And he said, "Why the fuck do you want to do in the Pioneers?" He said, "All they do is fucking dig graves and dig shitters and build tentage."
I mean, that was
And I thought,
the conception of that's what people thought of the Pioneer
yeah,
Corps, wasn't it?
yeah. And it was only when you're on the inside you realise, you do a bit more than the barrier and stuff as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? No, I'm happy. I'm happy what I'm doing. He goes, "Hey, it's your fucking life, not mine." So I swapped over and went for the Pioneers. Turned up at the depot, at the Queen's Depot. Did 22 weeks again. With we at the depot itself, trained by a Pioneer training team, and had a great time. Fantastic 22 weeks at the depot. Left the depot. When came home, married my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife, and she's still my wife now. And I met her when I was 12, and she was 11. But I then went straight out to Germany and went to 8 Reg, which at the time was a nuclear missile delivery unit for 50 missile regiment, or we used to call it 50 miserable regiment. Yeah. And I think it's 3.8 or 3.9 heavy.
3.9, yeah.
Because they had the capability of firing the 8-inch nuclear shell.
Yeah.
So getting to 8 Reg, and it's also a American regiment. The Americans owned all the nuclear weapons, and they wouldn't allow us to have them unless they had control of them. So when you had all us turning up, you had us turning up to collect them with the Royal Corps of Transport, and then we would do all the security to then each wagon will add potentially a MMA, main missile assembly, would come out of the depot at Munster North, come out of the depot. We never knew whether that was a live missile or a blank missile for training. And then potentially we would arrive from there to right through Germany, through one BR Corps, to one German Corps, I think it was, into one Belgian Corps and one Dutch Corps. So we could be swapping over these weapons or these nuclear missiles, not knowing what. And I mean, if it was all part of the Lance system, what 50 missile regiment had as the weapons platform. And stayed there for a little while, and then the regiment started disbanding. And so I then got a posting to 5 Airborne Brigade. And I went in and I just bought a car. And I went in and told my commander, I said, "Look, this is going to kill me back in the UK. I don't think financially I'd survive in the UK with the LOA, what I had in Germany, if you send me back there, I'm going to be in debt. And so they stopped my post and sent me across the 4 Armoured Brigade, which was still in Munster. So I didn't have to change married quarters. I went across the 4 Armoured Brigade with the Royal Signals, and then stayed with them from essentially 1985 in Munster up to 1989. And then in 1989, and all I wanted to do in the 80s, and I'm not sure if you wanted to do it, was get to Northern Ireland. That's all I wanted to do. And I think that was any soldier's aspiration, was to get to Northern Ireland, get on an operation.
Yeah, it was.
Because when you're...
Yeah, because there wasn't much going on, was there, really?
It wasn't. I mean, other than the, as I know now, the Brandy Sour medal out in Cyprus, that's all I wanted to do, was get a medal on my number twos. So anyway, I got back to England in November '89. I went straight to 187 Company in Simpson Barracks, Northampton. Dropped in with them. Went straight from, didn't even go to Northampton. I had a letter from a letterbox saying, don't bother turning up to Northampton. The guys will pick me up. We're going down Mill Hill, doing post. And I thought, yeah, okay then. They got to Mill Hill. They picked me up in the minibus. Got to Mill Hill, which is where the Postal Courier Service of the Royal Engineers was at the time. Got to them and they said, no, you're not needed here. You're needed down at Wilton, UKLF, which is the old land headquarters for the Army. Social play. Went down there and all we did was stag on, lifting the barrier up and letting people in, doing patrols on the camp with the MPGS, whatever they were called. And that was it from November to December. And then in through the mid-December, I got a message that I was going to report to Northern Ireland in early January. And I thought, that was great. That was a lovely Christmas present for me. Not for the missus, but for me, I thought it was great. And so we then mixed up with the rest of the lads who had gone to Northern Ireland, and we went up to Northern Ireland, went over to Kinniger. I don't know if you know, it's the logistics depot in Hollywood.
No, I don't know. I've heard of it, but I don't know it.
Palace Barracks is the 2-year posting, and across the road was the logistics depot, and all we did was stop patrols, really. I come out of the camp in a Land Rover, do patrol around that area, and come back in, then you do a foot patrol around that area. And that's it. That was really the next, from February, I think it was late January, early February, all the way through until August of 1990. And I can remember doing my training down at Billy Kenley, my NICHAP training for Northern Ireland. And you do 2 parts of it. We do the urban and rural. So you do the urban where you're getting petrol bombs thrown at you by other squaddies and flank rounds fired at you, and sort of like these other soldiers masquerading as civilians, doing civilian population, throwing tins of piss at you and all that sort of stuff. And then you get let loose on the street and shit yourself when you first patrol. And I got out there and went on my first patrol, and because I was a bit senior than the rest of the 4 lads, walking down the street, and I saw this dopey fucking bloke. And I stopped and I remember asking him, can I see your P45? I thought, it's a bit like flashing UB40, isn't it? Can I see your UB40? And he said he didn't have any information on him. And I said, well, I'll keep you there, mate. What's your name? Wrote it down. And you're trying to hide behind him so you can't get sniped at that and shit like that. And so I'm sort of moving around, and I'm on the radio back to headquarters, and I took his name. And then straight away they say, keep hold of it. Well, you shit yourself. That's literally when the whole of your stomach drops out of your ass, because straight away in your little monkey brain you think you've caught an IRA flight. You forget Protestants were just as bad as Protestant terrorists in Northern Ireland. And we walked into this Protestant terrorist I think he's probably my first murderer who I'd met and picked up, and he didn't let out bail or something. And we grabbed hold of him, and he's visiting his dad, who's a prison officer. And we'd walked into him going in, not seen him there before, picked him up. His dad's having a go at us, saying we're a bunch of bit brick bastards and we should leave him alone. And let them loose on the paddies. You know what I mean? And you're thinking, and I'm thinking they're thinking this is long here, and we're waiting for the IUC to turn up because at the time in Northern Ireland, all we had was powers of detention. It was only the police what had powers of arrest, as in the Royal Constabulary. So all way then he stood there, and there's four of us trying to guard this fucking bloke who stood there looking at me going, you go drinking in the sea or something like that. And he's going, you do, you know you do. That's it now, then. Don't bother going in there anymore. And you're shaming yourself thinking, I didn't even know he fucking knew me. You know what I mean? And so he's you know, he's kicking off me, and then the IUC turned and said, what's the problem? And I went, well, I don't know, mate. The option told us to keep hold of it. And he said, oh, well, that's like Billy Boy, he's okay. Fucking pat him on the back, said everything's sorted. And you're thinking, why the fucking hell did they tell us to detain him? You know what I mean? It was a bizarre situation, but that's not like what it was like for 6 months. And then across the road where in Palace Barracks, the paras who were out of town were getting a fucking absolute hammering of the IRA and that all over the part of the province where they were doing their patrols and that. So yeah, I think we were quite lucky. Then we get to August, you know, fast forward to August, and I can remember coming on duty and I was putting my frag vest on, and they the guys came in and he said, oh, you heard what's happening? And I'm like, no, mate, because by then I'm a Lance Corporal. And he said, oh, the Iraqis have invaded Kuwait, and I'm thinking, where the fuck's Kuwait? And I seem to remember the Iraqis were in the paper back in the 1980s because they were having a fight with the bloody Iranians after 1977 when the Iranians took over, and these two were knocking shit out of them for the back of the 80s. And I'm just thinking, so where the bloody hell's Kuwait? And then you're looking through the papers, looking at the map, and there's this little triangle down at the bottom of Iraq, you know, and they've invaded it. And I'm thinking, well, I know the guys going, you know, we're leaving here, we might get over there. And I'm thinking, don't rush your boots, guys. I said, I can't get army. I said, it takes a long time for an armoured unit or an armoured division to form up. Because, you know, for 3 years at an armoured brigade squadron. So, you know, I understood a little bit about it, and it takes a long time to start moving armoured vehicles, tanks, big guns, all that sort of stuff. It just doesn't happen. And I thought, you know, we'll probably deploy, because that's what we 187 company at the time, 187 Pioneer Company, whose proper name was 187 brackets on Tancred, brackets off Pioneer Company. Johnny Tancred, which is a bit of a weird one because I don't think of any other unit in the British Army. Johnny Tancred had been let out of Strangeways at the beginning of the war, who was I think he might have been in there for manslaughter or something like that. He was a Salford boy, which is next to Manchester. Bit of a naughty fucker. Had been let out as long as he joined the army. And so he's then joined the army. He's fighting at Monte Cassino. An officer gets wounded or something. He puts the officer over his shoulders and then walks for 2 days off them mountain ranges around Monte Cassino and Monte Como. Walks up an airfield, gets to the field hospital and drops dead. So the pioneers honoured him by calling one of the companies, well, not honoured him, 187 company, what was he was in at the time, was then always known after that as Tancred Company. And so we were named after some murdering fucker, which actually went quite well with the pioneers. So we've got Johnny Tancred, so I'm there with them thinking I'm going to get deployed to the Gulf War. We get back as some lead, and my missus had put us out to Egypt. So I thought, and all leave was banned to the Middle East at the time. So I'm asking the Chief Clerk and putting a letter in to the OC to asking him, sort of like begging him, can I go on holiday? Can you check it out? And they did the check and they come back and said, yeah, go on, we should be okay. So me and my missus went out to Egypt and had a fantastic time. No one out, everyone else had fucked off, the place was empty. No one wanted to go to Egypt because fucking Saddam Hussein's threatening all the whole world with missiles. Egypt's near enough next door, and so yeah, I get there and the place was fucking empty. Had a great time. I think that was probably the only boat that could look at Tutankhamun's face for hours, whereas normally everyone's pushing you to get out the way. And you know, I had a fantastic time on the pyramids everywhere. And I get back early September, and I remember going into the company office, and they said, right, we put the list of names out, and they put the two together, put us on parade, and it was like one of them, you, not you, not you, and they went through the list and said, you lot are deploying to the Gulf. Myself, one of the other guys, Tommy, another Tom, a Bolstrew, all got told we're deploying to the Gulf, but we're going out with the OC will come out and have a chat with us. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, I've been out in Ireland with them, right? And now I can't go with them. And I'm thinking, what the fucking have I done wrong? And that's how I felt. Yeah. I honestly felt, what have I done wrong? So then the OC came out and said, right, guys, I said, I didn't want to mention it in front of all the other folks. Use what are going in the Army Grave Registration Service. And I'm like, fucking I'm doing what? And he said, yeah, you lot are going out with the Grave Reg, because they need teams out there, and you're going to be doing that. And he said, however, you know, it'll take a bit of a while before it forms up and we'll get all the lads together, because to get in the Grave Reg, one, you have to volunteer, which I fucking didn't. Two, you have to be over 21, ideally with an HGV license, and they needed Lance Corporal, sergeants, that sort of thing. So I was a Lance Corporal with an HGV license and over 21. So, and that's how I ended up getting conned. And he says, and you've got to go in it, not if you want to volunteer. It literally was, you're going in it. And then the platoon that I was with had gone down to Bicester by then and formed up with 518 Company, which was another Pioneer Glove Company. They had two Pioneer Glove Company. So when the Army deployed, we'd deploy with them and get you in. So we'd deploy, we'd be building all the hospitals, the tentatives. So the Pioneers built Blackadder out in the first Gulf. That's our type of jobs we normally get. Then we get key point installation security. Then we get digging shitters, you know, all the best jobs I've known.
Yeah, all the glamorous stuff.
You know what I mean? And so we do all them type of jobs. So, and every now and again, they'd get a fucking star, which was grave registration. Frankly, I was thinking to myself, that's not what I joined up for. And so, you know, we waiting there. And while we were waiting, we'd do like a training day. And I remember they sent us down to Northampton Moor.
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt you, I was going to say, how do you train for something like that? You know, is there a package? You know,
there's no package or anything. I mean, I think everyone says it's one of the pioneer roles. The Labour Corps, which was in our forefathers, they did grave registration until the First World War. But then the grave registration, then the Labour Corps was disbanded in 1922. Then in 1939, the Auxiliary Military Pioneer Corps was formed. Well, the Auxiliary Military Pioneer Corps was formed, and it literally brought all the reservists together who were over 35, who then deployed to France with the BEF, unarmed, and they were doing all sorts of jobs, road building, trenches, shitters, tentage, all them type of jobs. Then they got chased out of France, and a lot of them went in the bag with a lot of other soldiers. But then they realised that they needed weapons. So then, after they came out of France, they started arming pioneers. Because these are all ex-First World War infantrymen, most of them. So then, in 1946, the pioneers become the Royal Pioneer Corps, and then we stay on the Army list. But in the Second World War, it still wasn't a job for the Pioneer Corps per se to take grave registration on. It was any units in the British Army what had been round a battle would then do grave regs. You know what I mean? The Royal Engineers were responsible for making the cemeteries and keeping up the cemeteries, making sure they looked after. But it still wasn't a main role for the Pioneer Corps. And I know everyone thinks it was. So then you move forward to the Falklands War, and Maggie Thatcher turned round instead at the end of the war. You know, they turned around and said, look, there's a chance some guys going to get killed in the Falklands. What we're going to do with them? So quite rightly, it said bury them in place, and then they'll get exhumed and put in a cemetery. But Maggie Thatcher changed the rules and said, if people want to claim their loved ones, they can bring them back home. So I live quite close to Aldershot, and Aldershot's got the parachute and special forces Falklands plot. We've got all the all the guys in the parachute regiment, all the guys in the special air service who were killed in the Falklands, all buried in the same spot in the Falklands. The Royal Marines are scattered all over. But left in the Falklands, I think there's about, don't call me out, but I'd say about 12 or 15 or 20 servicemen. What families said they're happy to keep them in the Falklands. But at the end of the Falklands, Maggie Thatcher said, well, we're going to have to exhume these guys. And they said, whose job is it? And someone must have gone, well, it's the Pioneer's job, obviously. Obviously to what? No one had done it really since the Second World War. And so at some point, someone said it's Pioneer Corp, is it? So the Pioneers were then sent down a grave registration team, what had no training or anything, to exhume the guys in the Falklands. And I knew a few of them. And these guys were fucked. These guys were fucked in the head. No help, no support mentally. You could see, although no one understood it with post-traumatic stress disorder, but you could see these guys had it. No problem at all. They would get paid at the end of the month in Germany because they were out there. Literally within about 2 days of being paid, they'd blown it all on beer and prostitutes. And then all they would do for the rest of the month is, catch money and catch bikes off the guy until they got paid again, pay all the loans out, and then go and do what they've just done because they were getting no support available. And that's one of the reasons I thought to myself, I don't want to do grave rib, because I've seen these guys and knew there was something wrong with them. And so then we get to the Gulf War and they say, oh, Pioneers are doing grave reg again. And I just thought to myself, if I'm going to do this job, I'm going to give it 110%. I don't want to do it really, but I'll do it. But then when you see the training program, it was all about NBC, nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. And no one had thought about grave reg, how do we look after these guys, and what they actually did. And they thought, well, what would be good for them was send him down to Northampton Police Station, send him in the scene of crime place. So we met this copper who took us upstairs, opened this room, which was full of big brown boxes, and he said, fill your boots, lad, and when you get better, knock on the door, I'll let you out, and then we can go up to the morgue this afternoon. And we're opening these boxes, and there's like actors in there, shotguns, rope, and then there's all the scene of crime photographs, and we're all having a bit of a giggle because it's scintillating and going, fuck me, I've seen this one. And then someone else go, hey, fucking hell, mate, you
It's
see this
like
fucking
the gallows humour, isn't it? It's like you see something now, it's like, yeah, wow.
And you're just seeing that, and you're like, but after a while, you just get bored with that. And then we say, knock on the door. Knocked on the door, so you can have a broom, give us a broom. We said, look, mate, we're ready. And then he rung up. There's Northampton Cop Shop. I think there's a crossroad from Northampton Hospital in the centre of town. So then he rings him up, and then we puddle across the road, turns up there, and he goes, yeah, come in, guys, to the old prep. And he give us an apron, some big gloves, some overboot. And then we go through the flappy doors with all the flaps that we walk in. And then the first thing I see is all these bodies laid out. And the smell itching, and you think, fuck me, what am I letting myself in for? This was a fucking horror story. And you're looking around thinking, what can I look at? There's nothing. Everywhere you fucking look, that putrid smell is slowly fucking crawling up your nostrils. And I'm looking to like that side of me, to the left, it's just them big, fridges what you put bodies in, and you pull them out and put them back in. And then these guys, he goes, come on, guys, you're not going to see anything over here. You need to be over here. And you're sort of like moving fucking closer to him. And there's some invisible force gripping your collar and pulling you back. So your head's there and your legs are walking to him. And you're like, fuck me. And then you get to him and he's literally soaring through the head, hacking the fucking skull off. And everything you can think about, like scissors and all that, that's what they use. So he's tapping the chisel and breaks the skull off, and the fucking brains is there, and I'm forgiving it. Man, you fucking lip must have been on my belly button. And I'm like that.
Imagine.
Literally, he pulls the brain out. He then pulls the skin down from there. So the whole of this skin's like his neck. And all I'm fighting in my head is a fucking horror story. It literally was a horror story. And then the other, I don't know what they're called, apologists or whatever, helpers. I don't care they're helpers, but they're all that sprayed. He then comes in, and then he's toughing them up, toughing bits up. And he says, "You don't really see nothing there, mate. You need to come up. Just give us a second. Hurry up. My daughter's just coming for it." Okay. So yeah, and the guys, the assistant politician does all the stuff. He's cut an hole from up there, all the way past the navel down to the bottom, and he's got the chest cavity open. Then puts the rib cage down and takes the rib cage out, and then you see all all the organs on the inside, and he's taking the bits like the liver, the heart, all that sort of stuff. And then he's down to the intestines, and I said, "Come here, you lot. You need to sort of like see this. Is this what you're doing?" And I'm thinking, no one told me I'm fucking doing this. This is what I've got in my head, that we're doing this. And he pulls the intestines up, and he's cutting either side. Pretty handy, fucking literally like fucking butcher with sausages. And he's fucking go click, click, click all the way down to pull them out with all these fatty bits stuff. And he's pulling it out, and he must have nipped it. And he sort of like flicks it with his blade, and he hits me right in the fucking face. It literally goes flat. And I'm like, and if you've ever sort of like put, a smelly salt or anything on your finger, and you've gone like that, that's what it was like there. And every time I took a breath, or a minute breath, this shit was in my fucking mouth. And all I could feel was me going backwards. And I'm like, and I suspect I was going unconscious. And I put my arm out and grabbed hold of one of them fucking drawers. I grabbed hold of that, and my legs were going. I could just feel my fucking leg just wouldn't move. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to get my hand up, and they were like jelly hands to move this shit off my face. And this bloke didn't give a fuck. And I'm just trying to get my hand up, thinking, just get up there. But every time you took a breath, your whole body just broke down again. And I'm like, literally trying to tell my brain to either keep my legs up, keep hold of this thing there, and move your hand. And trying to multitask when you've got this blob of whatever it fucking was in my face is pretty fucking hard when you can't breathe. When you're fucking horrible. And I remember looking around, and my mate had run out. Because when he flicked this knife up with his shit on it, must have splattered on a couple of us. So he's run out, and one of the other guys is painted near the fucking door. And I'm thinking, no, fuck me. So anyway, I gets this crap off my face, and this bloke just turns around and he give a fuck. So nonchalant, like, get a fucking grip. You're doing this fucking soon. And I'm thinking, I hope I'm fucking not doing this. I really hope I'm not doing this fucking thing. Hoping that someone would say, no, you don't need to do this job. And so anyway, we cleaned ourselves up, and that was it. And 4 o'clock that afternoon, we'd been in there about 1:30. 4 o'clock that afternoon, I'm sat in the cookout, literally not with a plate of food in front of me, because although I was in Northampton, my home was in Bicester, which is about 42 miles away, from 35 to 42. And so you'd have to get the 4-tonners at night to take you back down to the campus where all the family lived. And I'm just sat there in a cookhouse, and I'm having a brew, and I'm just thinking, I just felt dead. I literally felt dead. And all the guys, there's about 4 of us that had gone down the mall, and all the guys are asking, you've got been down the mall, what's it like? And we're just sat there numb. It was just, you're just numb from the experience.
I can imagine.
And this guy at the mall, he got about 7 bodies, chop, 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 chop. And he's saying, you can ask any questions, guys. And you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck could I ask in this environment? You know what I mean? And he's just fucking working away, beavering away as if it's just normal. And yeah, to them it's normal, but to me it was a fucking horror story with a car crash, with a train crash. You just can't explain being exposed to that and thinking that's normal. You know what I mean? And because I'd never ever been exposed to anything like that.
Well, no, unless you're working in a field or you're an undertaker, you're not going to be.
And that's it. You know what I mean? So that he sat there numb from that, and then we went back to NBC training again, and then they took us to Yardley Chase, And the exercise was you had two parts of the grave thing. You have the search and recovery thing and the collection point thing. And what happens is the search and recovery thing goes out to exhume or retrieve the body, which normally is from the infantry or the forward troops, digs up the body in theory, and then brings it back, gives it to the collection point team. They process it as what we used to call bag and tag it. And then that then goes down the line like a normal casualty. It ends up at a field hospital in the morgue. Then it'll be picked up by a wagon and then take all the way down to the airhead or the dock. Gets loaded on a plane or a ship and then gets brought back to Britain in theory. But they still wasn't sure what they were going to do with us, because we do have Commonwealth war graves in Saudi, in Iraq, in Iran, in Kuwait, because we've been fighting in the Middle East for donkey's years, from the bloody Crusades in theory. They'd still not got an answer of what's going to happen if British troops are killed in Saudi Arabia or in that area, when Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, Iraq. They'd still not had an answer. But they were edging the bets, I think, the MOD. They really were edging the bet. And as the troops built up from 7th Brigade, then to 4th Brigade, then to the 1st Division, going from probably about 8,000 to 16,000 to 50-odd thousand when we deployed. So that at that point, I think in December, they've realised that they were going to deploy a Brave Red team. So one of the teams went out forward of us. Flew out to Saudi and then did the rescue of where we were going to go. And then we all turned up we landed in 2nd January. I had first at home, went back to camp, packed our kit. We had all our camp at camp, turned up, put our kit on, got told we were deploying, and then deployed. And I landed in Saudi early hours of the 1st. Came through, went to that big warehouse at the dock, processed those, got extra respirators, extra NBC kit, and I knew NBC really well. Still didn't fucking have a clue about Grey Red, but knew NBC really well. But going back, I went up on a tangent. Going back to Yardley Chase, we went up there, the two teams, and what they've done is been down to the slaughterhouse. And they got everything in the slaughterhouse. Anything what they didn't sell, they put in black bin liners and they'd taken it to Yardley Chase and buried it. And then when we came out, they gave us a sketch map and told us this was all these soldiers, in theory, going through a practice field exercise. Then, the guys were all weaponed up, were all, cammed up. We deployed out, doing a patrol in a hostile area. Dug down, because they'd buried these black bin liners, dug down, fucking picked these black bin liners up, put them on stretchers, brought them back to this collection point tent, put them on a gurney, opened the bags, and fuck me, I think all of us threw up. All of us were fucking boxed up. The smell was fucking horrendous, and, literally flew up fucking everywhere. And you're trying to do your job, where every time you're trying to do your job, you're like, and you got sick all over your hand, and they're going, guys, come on, take it, serious, you know what I mean? And you're just fucking throwing up everywhere, or guys are just buffing up everywhere, and only because he's fucking awful and all that shit had been buried for fucking weeks, and then we went in there. I mean, it must have been toxic to us, and I don't think anyone had a fucking clue how this training went. They honestly thought that was the appropriate training of, this grey registration. So anyway, we got through that process, then deployed to the Gulf, gets out to the Gulf, and luckily for us, they'd put us in Camp 4, so 7th Brigade had Camp 4 as an R&R centre.
Yeah.
And then when they moved out, we then moved in, because in Camp 4, they've got two massive big refrigeration plants. So 84 medical unit was next door in one of them, and they were a reserve unit or territorial unit, got called back up, and they issued out all the medical supplies to any of the field hospitals what were based in Saudi or wherever else. And then we had the next one to it, which was the morgue to the Army War Brigade Service, and then from the Army War Brigade Service, we then had the Army War Brigade team. So we had four teams, in Camp 4. We had a team down in Riyadh, and then we had teams back in the UK to, help with processing the body as it came back. So while we're in Camp 4, I think they realised that, the job was too big for us. Literally, for 30-odd pioneers.
I mean,
they were caught with numbers.
I was going to say, I was just about to ask what numbers were they looking at, really?
They were looking at 250 dead a day, because in theory he was going to start throwing chemical weapons around. That was the biggest fear. You know what I mean? And that's what I can remember. I'm not sure about all of it. Was, everyone was concerned about if we start throwing chemical weapons around, biological or chemical. He had the potential to do both, and that's all we protest. Now, no one had trained us. We had not been trained or even thought about what do we do with chemical weapons. If chemical weapons have been deployed or biological, how do we then treat a casualty who's dead, who's been exposed to this? And so we did no training for that. You know what I mean? All we got told was if we've got a suspicion of the casualty's been in a chemical warfare, we don't touch it, we just leave it in the bag. We bury it in situ. So if they were in a tank or a vehicle, they were going to dig a big hole and just bury it. And if it's a casualty, they're just going to put them in big holes and just leave them, and then come back later and decontaminate them and, do them that way. That's what we didn't get told that until later on. That's what they were going to do from the up the land war. So right through January, all we're doing is, everyone else is training. We're doing it for real, a bit like the RAF and probably the Navy. We're doing it for real because as soon as we got out there on the, I think it was 11th of January, a young lieutenant was killed. And so we goes down to, we got deployed down to one of the field hospitals to collect the casualty, what we'd just been informed about. Myself and the lieutenant, I'm not going to mention any names, but we deployed down to, I think it was a 33 or 32 field hospital, which was in Al Jubair. And we go down there, it's night time. Turns up, one of the warrant officers, and I didn't realise, I think I'm correct, one of the quad guys, one of the senior warrant officers in RFM, they're also in charge of the morgue. So he turns up and, whichever one it was, 33 or 32, was in a big warehouse. So, and outside the warehouse was the 12 connected. But inside the warehouse was where they had all the wards. And so he turns up and he went, oh, well, we're not sure where the morgue is. And everyone sort of like looking at each other going, not sure where the morgue is, like, you got the right place. And then this warrant officer turns up and goes, leave. He says, leave with me, I'll take this up. He takes us down, it's all dark. And then another warrant officer turns up with guys who's in here. And you go in and then you've got all this processing in your mind about what you do with a guy who's dead, and you put him in that sort of position lying. And well, the problem is after rigor mortis has been come and gone, he's still in that position. Well, the problem with that is if his elbows are like that, he's not going in the coffin like that because he just won't fit in. So when people got all this thing in their heads, you have pads up to let climb in. So that was our first exposure to that, and he's wrapped up in blankets. So we have to undo all the blankets. You need to put the ID that that's the person who's come to collect. So you get this paperwork from field records telling you it's blah, 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 blah. You then get his ID card, or you get the ID card from his artifact, and then you check his DOF tag with his ID card to confirm it's him. Well, this guy's wrapped up in blankets. They must have found every black spare blanket in Saudi and fucking wrapped him in it. So we're digging through all these fucking blankets to find the body and then check it's definitely in. Get some more off him because we need to then transfer the body. It's very much hands-on out of that into a body bag and then into this coffin and then put him in a transit coffin. And we get him out and then soon realise we can't get him in the coffin because someone's folded his arms. And you've got to dislocate the arms to put his arms in like that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because of, he's had rigor mortis. then his body's still pretty rigid. So then we've got to literally bang his arms down, fit him in this coffin, which we have to do. And I thought, it's just a fucking job we're doing. You know what I mean? And the job is quite brutal, mentally and physically. So that was my first exposure to the first casualty.
I would imagine you'd feel also that you weren't like respecting the body when you're having to manhandle it, and
definitely. You've got all that going through it. You've got, you know what I mean, the strain you've got. I got brought up as a Roman Catholic. The strain you've got through your mind is unbelievable. What you're going through, and all these guys, what we're doing there, are all 1960s or 70s young lads who are, in the early 90s. They're all in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not as if we're sort of like 17-year-olds. We've lived a little bit, and most of us were still, religion was still quite big in Britain in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and so yeah, I'd say most of us were Catholic or Protestant or atheist. Only one or two was like that, but even so, it's still quite brutal for all of us. And the exposure of doing it, not thinking, you go to a mall and see someone else doing it, and then you're expected, you're not doing it all subtle, but it's still quite physical, or physically and mentally on you. So it does that, sorts it out, brings them back to camp, puts them in the, see what you mean about this thing keeps going off and coming on. Puts them in our mall, which we built from scratch. No one gave us any kit. We had the only fucking kit we had in the Gulf was one of them nail fucking punch things, what you pull nails out of pallets, and screws and a few hammers, and I've got everything we needed. We had to cram. We had no kit at all. You know what I mean? So we were going down to the docks when all the big challengers were coming off, the Warriors, all the armoured vehicles when they're on the ship had chopped and blocked. You know what I mean? So they can't move around in the ship. Then all that wood gets thrown off the ship if it's not needed. So we were going down the docks, and we weren't the only unit doing it, but we were going down the docks, grabbing all the wood we could find, taking it back to Camp 4, sizing it all up, putting it all, once we're strong the tools, and then building this mold. But like we've been told, we needed 250 trestles building to put bodies on each one of them for when the war started, or the war was going to kick off, we were going to lose casualties. And like I said, then someone made that decision that it was too big for us, so we will go off and get more volunteers. So they sent us in between guys dying of car crashes, natural diseases, suicide, them RPAs in that. The war had been started at the moment. We didn't do any of the aircraft guys because we collected them after the war had finished. Like the same with these special air service guys. We didn't get them until after the war had finished. But all we dealt up until the beginning of the war was RPAs, suicide, and just accidents. What was, some of them might have been, and it was just, but you averaged a body every 3 days.
Wow.
You know what I mean? We were doing a body about every 3 days. Because remember, we only had January and after February, so we did 27 bodies, I think, or 26 bodies, between me getting there on the 3rd of January to then the 24th of February before the land war.
Bloody hell.
So we'll average is not one body every 2 or 3 days. And they were coming in theory to us, but in fact, that's what I was saying about everyone else was doing their training for war. We're doing it for real because there was no let up for us. We didn't have any time for NBC training or going down the ranges and firing your weapons and zeroing your weapons and whatever. We literally just did what we had to do, which was come in, process the body, go down the morgue, make the morgue, then get the vehicles in. Let's do the same with the vehicles. We built all the trestle in the back of vehicles, put the bodies on, and that was it. Then the vehicles were taken off us because another unit needed them. So then we've got no vehicles. Then they give us vehicles back, and then we have to rebuild it all again. That's what it's like all the time. And all the time, we were pestering for kit. You know what I mean? But we were the Army Grey Red, the Army War Red Service for the gun, and we had no body bag. You know what I mean? Throughout that
Yeah.
fucking war, the only body bag that I saw was if the British servicemen ended up with the Americans. The Americans and some units in the British Army had body bags, but everyone was keeping them. Everyone kept them. The people what needed them were us. You know what I mean? We needed body bags. So then this fucking big, ginormous fucking bin bag turned up, this black bag, which is not a body bag, because a body bag is purely great. I mean, it's little holes off gases, and it allows the body fluid to stay in there. It's got a big zip, so you can manual the body, wrap the body around it and then pull a zip up. You can't do that with a black bin bag, because you've got to pick the body up physically, slide him into this fucking bin bag like a bivvy bag, drop him all the way in it, and it's not too bad as long as he's about 5'5", 5'6". If he's anything like 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, his head's not fucking going in that bag. You know what I mean? So then you get boxes of fucking black nasty. You know what I mean? So you have to tape his head up to keep fucking short. That's what we were working with. No fucking kit. Bin bag for fucking body bag. Big fuck off rubber, big rubber black gloves will come up here, what were fucking useless. The masks, what they gave us, were useless. Everything was too restrictive. Great in a morgue, but not when you're fucking doing this job, out in the fucking go. Because, so we ended up, I don't know if you saw the photograph, but all I wore was my fucking flag vest. You know what I mean? That's all I wore was a photograph. But anyway, that's what we're doing through January, building stuff, going out on jobs. We went all over Saudi picking dead bodies up.
It's crazy to think that there was that many casualties or that many deaths before it started.
47 guys were killed in the Gulf, 26 were killed from January to February, and then another 27 for the land war. You know what I mean? Which is your RAF guys, Special Air Service guys, real infantry guys from the Staffordshire Regiment, REME, RCT, Medic, all them guys what were killed when the land war started. I think there was 27 when the land war, just that period of them 4 days, I think they lost. Well, no, because you had the RAF guys and the Special Air Service guys, but, in total, there was 27 guys lost throughout February. But that's what we were doing instead. Driving out, going up for a guy, and I went up on the day, I went up and did this Roman peace guy who I think he must have been doing training because he blew out his hand up. So then he gets put on a Land Rover, he gets packed up near the front line. And I don't know if you remember, from Al Jabail to the front line along the MSR is about 350 miles, I think. Well, it's not like a day's driving. So when a body gets killed up there and we've got to deploy all the way up there, and that's what it was like. We were days up there. So you drive up there for the day, go and sleep in the fucking desert or the back of the vehicle with the dead body, and then bring it back down the next day. So, I think it sounds fucking weird. It's like that film, innit? I can see fucking bodies. And that's what it was like. You're sleeping in the body's lying next to you, and you're lying next to it, your fucking eyeballs like that all night, thinking the fucker's going to come back away. And so we deploy up to the front line, pick. I don't recall anyone in my mind died in Hyderabad. I think everyone died out further out, up on the MSR or down in Denan or all the places south of Hyderabad where the RAF was and that, or some of the other dock areas. So we deploy out. I remember this Royal Military Police guy injured his hand, and I believe we were told, I think he'd gone his hand up. So he goes up there to collect him, picks him up, and what had happened to him? He was still alive, injured himself with his hand, put him in the Land Rover to bring him back down to Dubai to probably go to the hospital there and then get repacked back to Britain. And so he gets in the Land Rover down, and I don't know what happened, but the Land Rover turned over and it broke his neck. And he ended up with an American unit. An American military affairs had picked him up. So we drives up to the FFMA, forward maintenance area. Goes up there, and what was good about it for us is my company was up there, 187 company. So I go see the Sergeant Major and all them. That's a brilliant editor. Told them that we're looking for this dead body. No one knew it. They had, this is FFMA. They're up there at the forward maintenance area, and they knew where the body was, or the casualty. So we get in touch. We try and drive down the line, and from the FMA all the way going up to Alcazuma, it's miles, absolute miles. So you're adding on another 50, 60, 70 miles driving down that MSR. And then someone said to us, he might be with Yank. So then you start hopping through the Yank unit trying to find this dead body. And then he goes into, I think, one of their hospitals, and they said, yeah, we've got him. We've got a British guy what was killed. And we went, right. And the thing is, we normally found out faster than what the units on the front line knew that someone had been killed. So we're deployed, driving up the MSR to collect the body before anyone up at the FFA or the forward line knew that one of the units had a casualty. So anyway, we gets to the Americans, and they got him all written up, and they said, no, mate, you can't open the back. And we're going, no, we need to. I've got to possibly identify that is who it said from the paperwork. And they're saying, no, the doctor written on the form that he's unviewable. And we're saying, it no disrespect, mate, you've got to look at the casualty, and it's fucking horrible. Not him, but this whole point of opening the bag was absolutely, because you just didn't know what was going to get, and then you've got these Yanks telling us that it's unviewable. I know, but I've got my doggy. Come here. Say hello. And so I've got me, we're there, stood there, waiting, one of us opening the bag, and we used to do a toss for it, flick a coin. Whose turn was it? Because it was absolutely fucking horrible. And so then if you've lost a turn, you'd open the bag thinking, your heart and your ass, shitting yourself what was in this bag and what a mess it did. And it wasn't. When the vehicle had turned upside down, it probably knocked his head and some blood had come out. We've got some water and put it on his face, cleaned his face up, and he had been, they'd said his face was unviewable. It wasn't. We just wiped the blood off. And the Yanks are saying, wow, mate, look at him. And we're like, well, you could have done this. You know what I mean? But then we're saying it's not unviewable. Gets his ID card, checks his dog tag, definitely the boat we're after. Puts him out, pulls him out of there, puts him in our coffin or our transit box, and then puts him in. I don't know if you saw the photograph put up. Them transit boxes didn't fit into Land Rovers, so the transit box had to go on its side. So in a long wheelbase Land Rover, you've got a transit box on its side with a body in it, what doesn't fit in it, and you have to hold the box, because every time the box puts his fucking foot on the brake, the box is near enough flying out the back because the back board's down. The way you open the tailgate, that's lying down, and this box is that fucking big that if you put your brakes through too fast, the box is on the fucking floor. You know what I mean? So you're travelling down the road and your coffin is in the main road. So, you know what I mean? It was just a bit like Keystone Cup, what we were given. Now, I don't think anyone had thought of, we need a grey rig unit, but let's not give them any kit. You know what I mean? Let them sort of like try and think out the box. Well, yeah, you're dealing with fucking dead servicemen. Yeah. We really can't think out the fucking box. It's got to be set in stone how we deal with it. So we teams are going out every other day picking up servicemen. But when you'd come back into the block, and you might not have seen your mates for a couple of days because everyone was going all over, and you'd come in, and one of the guys had come up and you go, the film? I said, yeah. And he goes, we need to go and speak to him. He's been in the shower for about 6 hours. And you literally go to your mate, and he's fucking blood red, like a lobster. And he's just stood in the shower crying because he's had a pretty fucking shitty one. And that's what it's like every couple of days. You're watching this team of soldiers slowly mentally deteriorate because, you're watching it slowly. And the option for us was either carry on with the job or you get sent up to the front line. Nope, fuck me, this bloke fucking broke. And we should really be putting him on the medical fucking wagon, sending him back to the UK. You know what I mean? No one had even thought about the fucking impact of what it's like working with dead bodies. And, you know, in every book you read of the British Armed Forces dealing with dead bodies, every one of them states what a horrible, horrendous fucking job it is. And the guys are ill for donkey's years. Well, it was no different in 1990. You know what I mean? And you're seeing your mate fucking just falling apart. And you're trying, how do you comfort them when you're holding on with your fucking own teeth to just try and get through it, thinking, that's another day I fucking got through, that's another day.
So, I mean, it's
You know
that
what I mean?
it's that
And then
whole
when
thing as well, isn't it? It's like, don't show weakness, you know,
yeah,
type of thing. You
yeah,
know, it was like bred into us. No one's going to ask you if you're all right, and yeah, they'll be all right. Fucking crack on, pull your
yeah.
pull your fucking big boy pants on and stuff like that.
They're crying. Even before the Land War started, your mates just sat there crying some night, and you're just telling him, come on, mate, just keep it together. Just keep it fucking together. Because the option is, we've been warned that if we don't do this job, we're going to end up on the front line in a train. Sat there, probably going to die from fucking chemical fucking, Saddam Hussein drops out. So the option is you're going to end up as a chemical casualty. Whereas down here, you can get a brew anytime you want, you can get a hot shower, you can go and use the telephones. But yeah, you're broken. Mentally, you were broken. You know what I mean? So, thousands of guys come back after the war, there's nothing wrong with them. But everyone in grey registration things absolutely fucking broken. You know what I mean? Mentally. So we're cracking on doing this job every day. And I said to myself, if I'm going to do this job, every time we bring a service in, I'm going to fucking go up there and go and sing it and say a prayer for the fucker, and that's it. I'm going to do it every fucking time. And I can remember I was always going up there. Every time I came in the back door, because we didn't use the main entrance, we'd always go around the back. I can remember going up and there was all these fucking flowers at the back door. And I can remember I kicked this fucking jar with these flowers across the fucking lip of it. We had this big screen what we built around it with Hessian and, like fencing. And we put it in the back door so you couldn't see what we were doing. But someone kept leaving this little fucking jar with flowers in it. And to me, that was fucking what cities did. It was all out there. That was life. That was great. But why are they leaving this piece of fucking sanity on my back fucking door? And I was thinking, you couldn't pack it in because you were fucking killing me with it. So I kicked this fucking flower pot for fucking miles. And then I'd come back the next day to go in, fucking another flower pot, another glass fucking jar with flowers. And I can remember I walked up one day and there was this quad plant there. And I said, what the fuck are you doing? And she said, I want to leave eating with my bed. And that brought me back down to earth. Because all I could see was the horror of the job I was fucking doing every day. And this woman, not this woman like that, the soldier, leading this glass jar and, like you do in Britain if someone's killed on the roadside. And she's leaving these flowers there as a matter of. But I didn't see that at the time. You know what I mean? All I just saw was this fucking, why are you doing this? It's fucking killing me. I'm holding on. And all this woman's doing is reminding me that fucking sanity down there, you know what I mean? And so I think that's it. Like sort of broke a bit of my armour, you know what I mean? What was protected.
It got through a bit, yeah.
And it was just little things like that what kept fucking reminding you that, it's not all bad. It's not all fucking bad what you do. You know what I mean? And I think people understood and what we were doing. It's one of them jobs that everyone says, fuck that, I don't want to do that. But then we ended up going down to Baldrick Lines and Blackadder. That was the other thing. Trying to recruit. Fuck me, that was hard.
Yeah. We spoke about it earlier, yeah.
People just, start majors and color sergeants have said to them, don't fucking go in that, mate. You don't want to be in that fucking job. And we found it hard trying to recruit. But anyway, we did. We doubled our number. We went up to about 70 odd. They brought them down to Camp 4 and you know what I mean? When you're living in a tent in the desert, well, in Al Jabail, and then someone's offering you Camp 4 telephones, vacuum showers, R&R centre, newspapers every day. Not realising that, fuck me, yeah, but, you know, if you look behind the fucking curtain, mate, there's your horror story. You know what I mean? You're like, this is the payoff. If you want this, that's a bit like the fucking devil, innit? If you want this, you've got to do that sort of thing. And so, you know, all them guys then turned up and filled the accommodation up a bit. Then we took them off training. And one of the jobs to train it, he said that they need to cook the body. I mean, what fucking recruitment in the British Army tells you that, you know, to stay in this job, you need to be able to cook the body to get on with it. And we brought them in a couple at a time. And you remember, this is big refrigeration plant, and it's got one of them airlock systems at the back door. So you walk in one door, you have to shut that door so the temperature changes. Then you open the next door and walk through, and if the temperature change has been right, then the fans don't kick up. And so in theory, you have to get quite fast, or literally allow the temperature change. So and we're going in and out, in and out, in and out with teams to, yeah, mate. We had a young soldier pass away. I can't remember what he was. It wasn't anything sinister. He passed away in the Gulf. We, in theory, used his body as a training aid. You know what I mean? We asked them, you know, the IOF, we said, look, there's a lot of these guys who need to see a dead body and they need to touch it. And then if they don't want to do the job, nothing's lost. Because, you know, at some point the war's going to kick off, the land war, and they're going to be doing it for real. So if they can't do it here, they're going to be a fucking, you know, a mental health case back on the front line. So the hierarchy, the chain of command, have done, yeah, okay then. And all they have to do was walk in, look at this dead body, and if they wish to touch the dead body, and then, you know, that was it. That's all they have to do. So you remember, we're in a big refrigeration plant, we've got 2 fuck-off fans, what were Lancaster bombers. What could fucking turn on like that? Literally. You know, at the drop of a fucking halfpence, these fans fucking kick in. So I can remember going in, doors open, brought them into the first airlock door, opened them doors, walked in, and we literally stood there, and then they'd given the briefing, said, right guys, what I'm going to do is, there's a guy lying in there, there's nothing going to fucking happen, all I'm going to do is open the outer lid, I'll then open the bag, and you'll see the dead body. If you want to touch his, please touch him. I said, there's nothing wrong with him. You know, you won't see, it looks like a bloke sleeping. You know, and that's what we're going to do. It was like, yeah, okay. And then the fucking fans clicked on. You know, the 4 of them what came in were really slow. So the temperature dropped, fans kick on. Fact me, this sort of like shed's about 75 metres long. But when these fans kick on, they will push air that fast to the other end of it. And we're at the other end of it, near the airlock. So these fans kick on, and all I see with this fucking lid flick up, this fucking bag in place, and my heart went, I had an heart attack. And we're fighting to get out the door. And I'd gone in with 4 and me 5, fucking fighting each other to get out the door because I thought it was a fucking zombie or something. You're outside. And then I quickly checked up, we're all patting each other about, oh, your chest is out like that, thinking, fuck me, that didn't affect me. I'm thinking, oh, shit myself. And I'm chatting to them all like that, and I'm going, and then, you know, there's other groups of guys waiting to go in. And I'm looking at them thinking, I'm sure there's fucking 5 of us. And I've got 3 of them. And I said, you know where the other guy is? He'd fucking fainted. He'd hit the racking, and the racking fell over. And he's lying there on the fucking floor in the morgue. And we sort of like, all 4 of us fucking walked in. And I picked a pole up and I thought, I'm going to go in there. There's a fucker in there. He's getting a piece of this. And I thought he was one of the blokes pissing about. I honestly thought the guys were messing about. And we went in the second time and it wasn't. It then dawned on us it was the fucking fans that had kicked off. And the way we'd put the coffin, it was like the wind come down, the air, and it just inflated it, and we thought, fucking hell, turn the coffin round so it can't happen. But yeah, I thought, my fucking God. And I didn't realise it had happened to one of the other teams as well until we realised and turned it round. But we picked the lad up, and I said to him, I don't think grave ridge was for you, mate. And doing this with the body in that in that in that surrounding, we did get guys said it's not for
Yeah, I
me.
was going to
I
say
said, there's
how many
nothing much
people
for me.
walked away from it.
Yeah, quite a few, and then we have to go out recruiting again. But literally, I think looking back, it was the right move to do because it got worse as we were getting towards the line war. It got fucking far worse for some of us. And if we wouldn't have done it, it was going to be fucking horrible because it got horrible. And you know what I mean. So we lost a few guys who put their hands up and said, honestly, it's not for me. I really don't want to do this job. I'd rather go back to Al Jabai and get picked up by someone else who were looking for that apartment or a BCR. We carried on doing jobs, and then get through into February. You could see the tempo of the war was getting more and more. The air war had started. Pilots are going missing. We were seeing the newspapers with all these pilots who were POWs. And he's still threatening us though with chemical weapons and the mother of all battles. And all the information we're getting is this is going to be fucking horrible. If we all get out of this alive, it'll be surprising. And let's be honest, more and more BCRs are fucking turning up. And regiments were going sort of like from 500 strong in peacetime to 1,500 strong because everywhere to get it up. And then we were sorting ourselves out. And as I said, middle of February, we lost all our vehicles. All the units wanted the vehicles, and then our chain of command turned around and said, well, let's get you to do this job. Because originally our job was to go to the divisional area and wait for the division to push forward. And then from divisional rear, we would then move to the rear, pick up the dead bodies at that point because we're already being sorted out by their unit, quartermasters and sergeant majors buried. We would then move forward, pick the bodies up, and then bring them back down our chain. Whereas just a couple of days before the land war started, they turned around and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do what the Americans do. They're going to put grey registration units in with the infantry. And then when the guys get killed, if they do, you're on the spot so you can remove them because they don't want the hassle of people getting PTSD because seeing their mates being killed and lying around on the battlefield. So 2 days before the land war starts, we get told we're not doing what we sort of like were thinking we're doing. No, you're going forward with the infantry and you're going to sit up there with them. And then if a body gets killed, you can pass it down. I sort of like kind of, from front line to middle to rear. So then you have to scrounge vehicles again. And we ended up with a mismatch of vehicles just before the land war. And we painted ours. And we had on our wagon the Grim Reaper. So we had underneath it 2 eyes from 2 sections. So we had 3 sections. We had 4 sections down at Riyadh. Then we had 2 reefer sections with the big refrigerated wagon. Yeah. Was on the freezer and we built all the shelving in them as well. And so they were driving on the main road up and down the MSR. And what was going to happen is there were vehicles you were going to come from in the desert, drive all the way back.
Hi, well, sorry for the abrupt ending there. As you can appreciate, there's no good ending or a good space to stop Roy's story, ready for the next one. Part 2 will be out at the same time as this, so you can just jump straight into it after you've listened to this one. Thanks very much for listening to this and look forward to listening to the next part.